Hello everyone and welcome to module number 7. We are growing closer to the end of the quarter and now it's only 4 short weeks away. But this week, definitely a lot of information to cover, definitely a lot of information that will be very helpful throughout the rest of your time, both here at Rasmussen and in your careers. This week our focus will be on medical terminology and structure and function. So with that being said, we are focusing on chapters 4 and chapter 21. So let's go ahead, we're going to dive right in and we're going to start with chapter 4, which is looking at medical terminology. Now most medical language is derived from the Greek and the Latin because those were both languages spoken in the earlier times of medicine and the fathers of medicine. It's very important to have good communication not only between healthcare individuals, but between healthcare professionals and the patients. Medical terminology is frequently used in those communications, both in the office, in the charting, and in patient documentations. As a medical assistant, it is important that you have a basic knowledge of medical terms. But while I say that, it's really impossible to know every single possible term that is out there. So this is a challenge because you are essentially learning a new language and it really is crucial to your profession. So we're going to break this down and hopefully at this point you've had a med terminology class, so that will help with this as well. So when we start to break down a medical term, we need to look at the fact that they are composed of several parts. But 3 of them are the most important. They're composed of a word root, a prefix, and a suffix. The word root is the part of the word that carries the main meaning. It is a word or an element for which other words can be formed. So I have an example here, the word cardio. That is a word root. Cardio means heart. A prefix is a word element that is placed before or at the beginning of a word root to change its meaning. It alters it or modifies it to create a new word. So for example, the word root tension means pressure, typically blood pressure, and hyper means high. So you put hypertension together and that gives you high blood pressure. And finally we have a suffix. And suffix are word elements that come at the end of a word and alter or modify the meaning to create a new word. This could be a syllable or a group of syllables. So for example, we're going to go back to cardio, which was our word root, and we're going to add the suffix ology. So that cardiology means the study of the heart. Now sometimes a combining vowel will be needed to join word roots together with suffixes. The combining vowel O is usually used, but sometimes it can be a different vowel. The purpose of a combining vowel is to make the word easier to pronounce. For example, if we had the word mammogram, mam is the word root, which means breast. The suffix gram means x-ray, but a mammogram is hard to say, so we add the O to make it a little bit easier. Along with having a combining vowel, we also have a combining form. Now, really, this is a little difficult to understand because you might think, well, what's the difference? But a combining form is a word root that already has a vowel attached to it. So, for example, let's go back to cardio and cardiology. Cardio already has a vowel on it, so instead it is called a combining form. Where mammogram, mam doesn't have that vowel, so it has to use a combining vowel. All right, so now that we have broken down the words and you can understand the different parts of the medical term, let's start talking about tearing the words apart and being able to understand and pronounce them along with writing them. So medical terminology can be used by pretty much anyone, but it's going to be part of your everyday language now. When you're trying to figure out what a word means, I typically tell students that once you know what the suffix is, so typically start at the back and work your way forward. So if you can figure out what the suffix is, you know it can be applied to many different words. Then move to your word root. Try to figure out what main body system or organ it is related to, and then move from there. Developing a habit of taking the words apart will help you to better understand them, but also build them and build the meanings behind them. Now, we need to know how to correctly spell medical terms, use the correct plurals, and how to pronounce them. Spelling with medical terminology is so important in any language, but especially in medical terms, because poor spelling reflects poor care and a lack of professionalism. But wrong spelling can also imply a completely different word altogether. Along with that, when we talk about the plurals, it's really important to understand that not all medical terms are singular. Plurals are sometimes formed according to Latin rules, not always the English rules. There is a table in your chapter, table 4.7, and that will give you an excellent list of plural terms for medical terminology. I would highly suggest that you take a look at that and maybe even print yourself off a copy so you could keep it. Now, when you're pronouncing these, this is probably the most important piece, because as an MA, you have to learn how to properly say the terms not only for when you're speaking to the physician, but also with the patients. Again, saying it wrong can mean a different term altogether. All right, let's move on to chapter 21, which looks at the human body and our structure and function. Now, when we talk about the human body, it falls into what we call two categories, both anatomy and physiology. Anatomy is the study of the structure of an organism, where physiology is the study of the function of an organism. But we also need to look at the development of diseases and disorders within the body. That's called pathophysiology. So let's go ahead and take a look at our human body and its levels of organization. Now, your human body is organized by increasing levels of organization, starting with the smallest of an atom, then a molecule, a cell, tissues, organs, and organ systems, and then obviously your human body as a whole. So let's go ahead and break each of these down, look at them a little bit more so you have a better understanding of each part of this organization. We're going to start with the small piece, an atom. Now, atoms are found at the most basic level of organization. They consist of at least one proton, one neutron, and one electron. A proton is a positively charged particle, where a neutron does not have either positive or negative, and an electron is a negatively charged particle. The proton and the neutron make up an atomic mass of an atom, and they're found in what we call the nucleus. While the electrons revolve around the nucleus, all three combine together in different combinations to create elements. Now, a group of atoms together are called a molecule. And we have to combine at least two or more atoms to make a molecule. Molecules can move, and this means that they can form solids, liquids, or gases. A group of molecules together are what we call a cell. And cells are the most basic unit of life and is often considered the building block of a human body. The cells store information and use molecules to perform work that create waste, and then they need to be disposed of. Our bodies have several different types of cells. For example, we have bone cells, nerve cells, and fat cells, along with reproductive, skeletal, blood, and smooth muscle cells. And every cell has three common parts: a cell membrane, a cytoplasm, and a nucleus. Now, cells form together to group and call themselves tissues, which means that they share the same function and purpose. And the human body has 4 different types of tissues. They're made up of epithelial, connective, muscle, and nerve cells. each of them having a different type of function that they will all perform. Tissues band together to form organs, and those form what we call organism groups or organ systems. Organs that work together form that body system, and the body systems we have are the integumentary or the skin, skeletal, muscular, nervous, endocrine, cardiovascular, blood and lymphatic, respiratory, digestive, urinary, and reproductive. All body systems work together in order to maintain and support homeostasis in our bodies. Homeostasis just means that the body is in balance or in equilibrium with itself. It's also important to understand that the body works in one of two processes, either an active or a passive transport. Active transport uses cellular energy to carry materials from one area to another, where passive transport does not require any cellular energy to move and carry items, but it does require diffusion, osmosis, and filtration. All right, guys, so that's just a quick overview that I have for you for chapters 4 and 21. Please make sure, as always, that you are reading your chapters in full because it will help you with discussion posts as well as your quiz for this week. This week, your discussion posts will be due on Tuesday, August 15th by midnight, and you'll have to reply to at least one classmate no later than Saturday, August 19th by midnight. This week, you will have your final course project VIS summary, which is looking at the influenza virus. You can find that VIS on the CDC website, just like you could any of the other ones. Please make sure that you are looking at the rubric so you can get a better understanding of what needs to be included in your influenza VIS summary. That will be due no later than Sunday, August 20th by midnight. And this week as well, you do have another quiz looking at these two chapters as they stand. There will be 20 multiple choice questions, and you will have a 20-minute time limit. This will be due no later than Sunday, August 20th by midnight. As always, guys, if you do have any questions, comments, or concerns, please make sure that you're reaching out to me either via Blackboard email or giving me a call at my direct line at the Rockford campus. You can find that direct line on your course homepage and the instructor information in the top right-hand corner next to my picture. I hope you all have a great Module 7, and hopefully some of this will be repeated from your medical terminology courses that you have already taken. Have a great week, you guys. Bye-bye.